Hello, welcome to another Scrum chat room session with Dr. Francis Mbunya. And today it's all about you. And today we're going to look at a lot of extensive questions and answers when it comes to Agile in general. It doesn't matter which component of Agile we dealing with, from the Scrum to um, Agile coaches to enterprise coaching. We are here today to look at what it's working, what is not working. And for those who are looking forward to break into this space, we also want to help you on what you need to expect in order to be in there. So, welcome to the Agile Scrum chat room, and let me know exactly where you're connecting from so that I can give you a shout out. And if you're joining in, why you letting me know where you're connecting from? I want you to start putting in your question in the chat box right away, because the goal of today is to answer as many questions as possible for the next 30 to 40 minutes. The bigger goal would be to answer what are your questions, what are some of the challenges you're going through, why you're applying for a job, why you're working as a scrum master, why you're working as an agile coach, why you're helping your organization transition from, let's say, waterfall to agile, and how can we resolve these. I'm not saying I have all the solutions, but I know that there are quite a lot of people who are also joining who are well versed with the concept. So together we want to look at how we can solve the puzzle, right? So, why we get a lot of people joining in now, I want us to handle a couple of key concepts before we get rolling. And also, you can just be putting your question in the chat box. We're going to handle that. But I also want us to handle a couple of key concepts before um, we get into our questions and answer. Now, the first misunderstanding I've seen a lot of people that are getting into the space of agile have is that they don't know exactly what to do. What is the step by step process to get to where we really want to get to? Right. In a very simple way, I want everyone in this space think about agile, or think about you stepping into Scrum, you stepping into an agile coach as a whole new career. Right. If you think about it that way, you'll be well prepared. But then most often we treat it like, okay, it's just a certification, and then a resume and interview. And this is why it takes us a very long time to be able to get into any position. And also, so long today we're doing purely question and answer, that's good, but there is more that you need to learn than learning how to answer question and answer, because agile, it's more of 80% about people and culture, and just a 20% about the concept, process, and strategy. So if you're not taking the time to invest in understanding the leadership aspect of agile, on how to respond to questions and how to sustain conversations in an interview, is still another bigger part you need to do. And good enough, we have communities that could help support everyone that is in that space. And it's not what we're going to talk about today, but those who are like you kind of in there and stuck and want any kind of support, you can reach out to me privately on my chat, and I will look at how I can help you. But today it's all about you, and I see a lot of people joining in. I see Apeti joining in from Minnesota. I see Adeola from Maryland. I see Paul from the UK. I see the name Telenius from Atlanta. I see a lot for me joining from Columbus, Ohio. I see Maxer from Germany. Hello, Maxer from Germany. Excellent. um, I see also Goodness from Texas, and I see also um, Olayemi from Texas. Hello, all the Texans in the house. All right, let's get rolling. What are some of the major challenges to the questions you have that you've been thinking of? What, am I doing it the right way? What's the perfect way for me to be able to answer this question. It can be in any dimension. It can be in you just finding a career fit and all of that. We want to be able to handle those questions today. Now, there's a question that's coming in from Bambi Lee and say, do you need a professional ATS compliance resume? Kindly message me at affordable price. Okay, for those who want resume, you can get out to her and she's gonna get you a resume. That's for those who are advisors, for those who you've done your homework and you feel like you're not getting the interview you needed. Now a resume can solve your problem. But for those who have not yet mastered the practical part of agile, especially on how to be able to sustain conversations, how to be able to sustain conversations as a leader, you don't need a resume. You need to be able to situate yourself and practice, right? So, while your questions are coming up, I want to discuss a couple of key questions which you definitely will not miss. And I also want to discuss some of the major challenges a lot of people go through in order to answer this. But before that, let's talk a bit about resume to help a lot of people understand what is the purpose of resume and if you should go for a professional resume or not. That is also very important. What is the purpose of a resume? Should you go for a professional resume or not? Now, if you get a resume and you're unable to defend every possible line on that resume, then you are doing yourself more harm than good. Why am I saying so? Your resume is a representation of you. Now, the reason why a lot of people get calls from recruiters or you go through the first phase and no one ever reach out to you after that is because they're looking at your resume. Your resume is professional and too professional. They're expecting the one behind that resume to talk like that resume, and I've seen a very big gap between the person on that resume and the person talking. So from that point, they understand that there's something missing. So in that case, it's difficult for them to follow up with you, right? So that is one of the shortcoming with you getting a professional resume without being professional yourself. And that's why we say start from yourself, being professional, and then you can now go to the resume, and the resume will help you. A resume is it's a backup. A resume is not, the resume doesn't do the job for you. A resume position you in front of the interviewer, but you still need to do the work, right? I can give you my resume, right, and say, okay, you can present my resume. I just basically change my name and all of that. Now, when you start talking, they will realize that okay, the person we're thinking about in this resume is not the person talking. There is that big gap. So, which is also what you need to pay attention on when we talk about resume. Now, if you have any question, please go ahead and put the question on the chat box, and we are going to make sure we address that question. Now, the second question, which is also related to the resume, is the first question, which actually qualifies you or disqualify you for an interview. Now, it doesn't take the interviewer even 30 minutes. You might be scheduled for an interview for 30 minutes. You might be scheduled for an interview for 1 hour. But within the first 5, 10 minutes, they've already made their decision. Now, what helped them to make their decision? Remember, one of the questions you always get early on is tell me about yourself, right? Tell me about your previous work. Now, in the case of speaking that, we can tell if you actually have been in that environment or not, right? And it's not, most often it's not how deep you can go, but how knowledgeable you are in the concept, right? So I'll give you a very quick scenario right here. If I say, tell me about yourself, and then you say, hello, my name is Francis, and I've been a Scrum Master for 8 years, and I've worked with different companies, and I've helped the companies to facilitate events and remove impediment. I collaborated with the PO, I collaborated with the developer, and make sure we're getting the work out on time and all of that. Now you said nothing, right? Although you might go on and on for the next 5 minutes, you've said nothing. Why you just said what everyone else can say. because the role of a Scrum Master is solely not to facilitate event and remove impediment. In fact, that is a secondary role of a Scrum Master. No organization will invite you or will hire you to say, "Hey, Joy, come and help us facilitate event and remove impediment." No, organization help you because there is a project that is funded, and that is why for some people you see they lay people off because the project has gone out of money. So they hire you because there's a project that is funded that need an approach, right? That need an approach that requires someone with the skills from the perspective of a Scrum Master. So you coming into that organization, your bigger goal, you'll be making a very big mistake if you're thinking all you want to go do is to facilitate events and remove impediment. That's why if you even get into the organization and you don't take the time, you don't invest the time to understand the product they are working on, to understand the roadmap, the release plan, you realize that even when your team members are talking, you are very lost. You are very lost, and you will not even know exactly where to start. Right. And that's why when I talk to so many people that, oh, do I really need to be technical? Do I really need to know what product my team is working on? Yes, you need to know. And I always make this kind of funny example, right? I said, let's say I hire you to work in an auto shop. If I hire you to work in an auto shop, right? You don't have any background in auto mechanics, right? And then you have been there for a year. By the end of the year, you will almost know everything like someone with a background in auto mechanic. Why? People are coming in every day, they're asking you the same question over and over again. You don't even need to go to an auto mechanic school to understand and to master the environment. So you realize that many of us we are missing that background. And everything we're trying to do is to study Scrum event, to study impediment, to memorize every stuff. And then when we actually get into the real work environment, it's very difficult for people to even and someone is saying, "Oh, I need some support. We're working on a story and we're trying to migrate from server one to server two," and you're looking at them like, "Okay, what do they mean by migrate from server one to server two?" But then it just go ahead to show you that you did not do your homework. And the reason why you did not do your homework is because you were not even aware that you are supposed to take time, study the product roadmap, understand the product the team is working on. And that is even the reason for the one-on-one when you get on work, when you get in your environment. The reason you do one-on-one is not just to have how am I going to say, have a chit chat with with the person. No, nobody have the time to waste. The reason we encourage one-on-one when you join a team is because you want to be able to understand, number one, the person, number two, the part of the product they're working on, and how that contribute to the overall product. Now that gives you the opportunity for them to explain to you what they're working on in the layman terms. Right. Now, this other point also, it's also for those who are already working as a Scrum Master. And sometimes you find it very difficult to even grab the project your team is working on. Yes, it's not something easy, it's something that may take you some time. But this is a very simple secret that can help you be very useful to your team in less than no time. Number one, you have to be able to map out the processes that help you to capture information. You need to have a strategy that help you master the technical process. And what's the strategy? That strategy, you need to understand that any project that is implemented in any organization sit at different levels. Right now, there's a higher level where we deal with the customer. Right, that's called more of the portfolio. Every organization might not really have that portfolio, but those that sit at the decision making, think about what do they want, what did the customer want out of everything that we are doing. And this is also very important, especially when you work with a team that's doing migration and data team, because they'll always tell you, "Oh, we're not working on any specific feature, our work is very complicated," and all of that. It's not complicated. Right, it's not complicated. The only reason it seems complicated is because we are trying to talk about that in terms of the technicality of what they are doing. But The reason why they are doing what they are doing is to be able to do what? To deliver value. The reason why data scientists or data engineers working on data positioning them probably is to enhance a functionalities, enhance an output. Right. So when you map out the different layers on what are the business value, what are the result we're delivering to the customer, then you start making sense of it. Secondly, one of the things which is very important now, when we deal as a team, especially when you work at the level of a team as a team coach or a scrum master, a Kanban lead, there's so much focus on what we call there's so much focus on matrices, right? My bend down chart, my velocity chart, my throughput, my WIB limit, and service level agreement. All of this, it's like, okay, we're trying to put our head around this. But in the nutshell, all of this doesn't really make sense to the customer. These are just matrices that help you to facilitate the building of the smaller layer of what we are doing. When we talk to the customer doesn't understand metrics. The customer said, okay, we're supposed to be launching our website tomorrow. Have you built the lock-in? Have you built this? Like, oh, our velocity, like, what are you talking about? Right. So there is also so much emphasis on matrices and on matrices in such a way that it deviates most of us from the bigger goal of why we are supporting the customer, why we are engaged in the entire project. So those are kind of the background that help you to build the right skills that you need to get into a Scrum environment. Right. Now, the bigger goal or the reason why we continuously come in and we're trying to help you to build a solid foundation, especially those who are already in the field. Now, one of the most difficult things to do is to sustain, right? Which is why if you, the time you stop learning, be ready to be kicked out, right? So the reason why we do this is because any organization requires people who command excellence. Right. For many people, to be very sincere, the reason your contract will not be renewed is because they have evaluated you and they look at what you're bringing in, and it's showing that, okay, probably will not be able to sustain you because of where you're coming in from. You don't want to be in that category. Okay. I'm going to stop here and start looking at some of the questions that are coming on the chat box because I did promise that today I want to answer as many questions as possible. Um, okay, so Ahmed said, right, good point. Using the proper keyword on your resume is different than understanding how to speak. Yes, this is a very big issue, Amara Adu. It's a very big issue. You see someone, the resume is really great, and you want to talk to them, and then you're trying to figure out, wait, the resume and the person, they're two different things. You don't want to fall into this mistake. There's so many good communities out there that can help you to be able to build the leadership aspect. Most often, what a lot of people are missing is the public speaking aspect of it, which is more of leadership, how to coordinate your work. You want to be able to close that gap. Now, we have another question here. As someone who has never had experience in Scrum, will you help me build my resume to show knowledge and experience add to a project or stuff? Okay, now this is how we handle this. If you have never had experience in Scrum, what we do is that we place you under internship. Right. It's not about resume. This is the mistake a lot of people come in. Okay, I need help with resume and putting this. This is definitely not going to help you. So we place you under an internship and we place you in a Scrum group, and you get to learn everything you need to know about Scrum, and then you can facilitate events. You can collaborate with other Scrum team. We do have a community where we have more than 15 Scrum projects, so it's more like an enterprise community. And then there's a team lead. It's a setting a Scrum. We do daily stand up and up that help you to be able to master. You don't have experience, you don't need the resume, you need internship. For anyone, if you don't have experience, you don't need a resume. You need internship. Now, when you master exactly by practicing, by facilitating, by building your own Jira project, and by collaborating with other teams, by receiving coaching, now your resume will not be a problem. So I always tell people that if you start struggling about I need a resume, I don't know if my resume is good, it's an indication that you're not yet ready for an interview. Because by the time you learn what a Scrum Master should be doing and you start practicing it yourself, you will not doubt if it's a good resume or not. Right. So, and then this next question, in this scenario, wouldn't you use velocity chart to see how the team have been doing and how many projects they have completed on time and how they went? Yes, velocity chart is good for the team. Right. I'm saying they're important at the level of the team. But for many team coaches and scrum master, they focus so much on that and they forget to relate that to the overall outcome on the business. Right. So what matters most and us delivering value to the customer is not the velocity chart and other stuff. You realize most team, because of the nature of their work, they don't use velocity chart. What about Kanban team? They don't use velocity chart. But what happened? There's a focus on how we deliver to work. Velocity chart and your bend down chart, they are important for you to know the direction on how to coach the team. But if you put all your focus on that and base that on the only indicator that show that your team is doing well or not, and do not focus on the work that your team is delivering to the customer, is it having a technical depth? Are we sending it back for us to rework on it again? Then you're missing out on a lot. All right. So what is the answer when you're being asked, tell me about yourself? Okay, Nancy, I think I started on that and I kind of break out. Now, if you're being asked, tell me about yourself, the response should be more like, okay, hello, my name is Francis, and I have let's say 10 years of experience. I've worked with three different Scrum teams. With my first Scrum team was a data team, and we're looking at moving data from Postgres into cloud, or we're moving data from on-prem into this in order to build new customer portals or new functionality that help a customer to be able to receive or able to pull out the information faster. Now, for every team you work on, there's a project they're working on, right? So you set out yourself better when they say, tell me about yourself, when you talk about the work your team was doing, right? Your goal is to support the work your team was doing. Your goal is not to, we expect every scrum master to understand how to facilitate and remove impediment, right? Every scrum master is supposed to do that, which means that the value you bring in when you are in an interview is not about talking about how good you can facilitate. That is already expected. It's about how you supported your team deliver value, right? So I can say, okay, I work with, let's say, Bank of India, and we were building a new automated system for our loan processing in order to improve the cycle time, or in order to improve feedback time from the bank in such a way that anyone applying for a loan will be able to get feedback. So we had to build automated messaging system and automated responses that can come in and fit into what most often were being done manually. Now you can say, okay, you work with a bank of XXYZ, and what your team was doing is that you were building or you were adding more functionality into commercial loan processing system that help customer to take more advantage on the on other aspects that are not listed on their credit scores and other stuff. Right. Every company that is bringing in, let's say, the Scrum team to work on, the Scrum team support more of the digital aspect of the business, right? Everything Agile and Scrum is geared towards helping the company become more business agile, right? We call it the business agility component. So The Scrum Master come in, they're working with a team of developer, they're improving the digital aspect of the company because Agile is more about helping the companies thrive better in a digital space. So I hope that actually helped. Now the next one says that, so would you recommend straight out to build a Jira project? Also, what if you complete Agile Scrum job simulation? Now, job simulation, okay, that's good, but that's not good enough. Why? Even if you build a Scrum project all by yourself, remember you are going to support a team. You're not going to support yourself. It's I always say it should take you at least 3 months of practice to even say, okay, you know what, I know exactly what to do. Not 3 months of practice on your own, 3 months of practice where you can receive feedback, right? You can receive feedback. You can talk with real people and they can be able to evaluate and give you feedback on what you're doing, right? But then for people who have been like in the project environment, in similar environment, and let's say Scrum is more like a transition for them, good. You have some room to be able to go through it more faster. But for anyone who is new in the environment, trust me, if you go in and you are not ready, you definitely might leave. There's so many people within 3 months in their company that are letting them go. Why? Because they understand that they don't have what it needs to support the team. But in a real sense, it's not really difficult to support the team, right? It's not difficult, trust me. Why is it not difficult? It's not difficult because everything you need is in your ability to ask the right question. As a scrum master, as an agile coach, everything you need is in your ability to ask the right question. But then you realize that for you to ask the right question, you need to know, understand the process, not understand how to do everything detailing technical, but understand what is the flow. If we are running are late on delivering, what are the things I need to ask? If my team members say, "Oh, this story is not clear, we don't understand this," who do I need to go to ask that question? If we have a blocker on a work we are working on, how do I treat that? Right. So your ability to ask all of this question is what helps you go there. All right. How do I join your internship program? Send me a private message and I'm gonna share with you how to what are the procedure we you need in order to get into it. Um okay, somebody say go follow me on YouTube. Yes, I do have a page on YouTube. It's called the Scrum Safe Scrum chat room, right? Safe Scrum chat room. You should be able to find me there. I do put out a lot of videos weekly. We had a video on Monday. The video on Monday was talking about spring planning and how you actually facilitate spring planning on Jira. Before the end of this week, I'm gonna drop another video on facilitating daily stand up and all that stuff. Oh yeah, so Adeola, thank you for sharing that. Okay, so Brian say, what is your career outlook as a Scrum Master? Do you become an agile coach or go more towards the release train engineer? That's a very good question. Now, this is going to be determined. It's good to build a career, but this is going to be determined on where you see yourself in the future, right? So, becoming a release train engineer is gearing you towards more of the enterprise agile management, right? Which is really good. It's for me personally, right? I'm not definitely doing marketing here. For me personally, going through the route of a release train engineer help you to stand out more. A release train engineer, it's more like the coach at the program level, right? The coach at the program level. You go through the release train engineer training, and then you go through the SPC training. Then you also become an entrepreneur because as an SPC, you can enable to start training other people. So it's really intense if you go through the RT circle. Now you might go through the normal route of getting your Scrum Master and then maybe mastering how to become a coach. Um, Very important. A coaching certification is important, but with all due respect to all the companies providing certification out there, coaching is not a certification. The same as Scrum Master is not a certification. It's a practice. The same like you can go to school and you have a degree and you're a pharmacist, you're a nurse, you're a doctor. You, if you don't practice, you wouldn't know what to do. The same thing with Scrum, which is where the mistake people are making. Now you agree with me that I can study hard and go pass the board exam as a pharmacy, but I don't understand the practice, which means I'll continuously do a lot of mistake that a lot of the life of many people will be at stake. The same thing, we rush into Scrum, we don't take time to master the practice, and then we cost the company we're helping to lose a lot of money. Right. You not understanding that I need to escalate this immediately can cause the company to lose a client what millions of dollars. Right. The reason Scrum Masters are paid really, really good, really good. We just, let's say, a Scrum certification is a 16 hours class, and then you do that. You've been, you most, if you live in the United States, it's a six-figure income, and then you not putting in what you need and expect. No, no, let's be serious somehow. Let's be serious here. So it's very important, please. So if you get into the field, take out the time to build the expertise that you need. uh how am I able to show value of past experience during the interview when I don't have past experience in reality? If you don't have past experience in reality, you don't have, right? Which is the reason why I said you, if you go through internship, what's internship? It's about training, right? Now, the reason why trainings are very important and trainings are very powerful is because they help you to be able, internship, to be able to learn what you can learn something that I'm say you can learn something that someone has been able to go through for the past 5 years in less than 3 months, right? Not only internship is coaching, right? If I'm coaching you now, right, there's something you might be struggling to do for the next 2 days, but because I've had experience on that, in less than 5 minutes, I can show you how to get the answer. Right. So that's the importance of coaching. That's the importance where you have communities of practice you can join and being able to get there. In reality, with all due respect to companies and recruiter out there, they're not looking for someone with 20, 30 years of experience, because you also have people with 20, 30 years of experience who doesn't understand exactly what they're doing. They're looking for people who can be able to help the company, who can master what they need, and they can drive the company from point A to point B. Right. In to kind of I'm not a career advisor, but then I'm just gonna give you this. Most people or recruiters or interviewer out there understand that about 90% of resumes are fake. They know that. So it's not something new. What they're interested in is, have you mastered the act of doing this job? No one, that's why no one is actually interested in maybe getting so deep to start asking you questions and having all the proof from the 1990s that you started working. When you talk, they can tell if this is someone that can do that. So all of that, it's convey to what? Your ability to defend it, right? Experience is not on the paper. Experience is on your ability to talk. That's why we have interviews upon interviews to help you prove that. Your tell me about yourself should be less than 2 minutes. So if you go on an interview and your tell me about yourself is 5 minutes and above, trust me, they don't want to hear all of that. It's an opening, right? If you ask me, hey Francis, how are you? And can you tell me a bit about yourself? In less than 2 minutes, I'm gonna tell you all about myself, right? So it gives you now as an opening, it's a presentation to help the person who asks you that question to ask for that question. So when I said when I'm on an interview panel and someone I said, tell me about yourself, and then you start telling me how you facilitate events, you remove impediments and all of that. That's not about yourself, right? About my yourself, I'm Francis. I have a 17 plus years experience coursing across three industry. Proud to become a Scrum Master. I was this, and then my last three roles as Scrum Master have been supporting a data team, multiple software team, and then I've also worked with an operation team. The operation team was focused on doing this. The data team was focused on doing this. This was focused on doing this. If there's any other question, definitely as we go along, we'll be able to discuss that. Less than a minute, I've been able to give you about myself and giving you what you need for us to put alongside with the conversation. Um, Brian has a follow-up question. I hear a lot about safe versus Scrum. Thought on which one should go for. All right, yeah, safe versus Scrum. What's the difference between safe and Scrum? I always give this example. Let's say that I'm a trainer, right? Let's say I'm a trainer. I'm a trainer in the I'm a personal coach for fitness. I'm a personal fitness coach. And I have 20 people who need my help, right? I can easily do my work my schedule around and support these 20 people. Now I have 5,000 people who need my help. I can't do that on my own, but I can be able to set up a system, bring other people on board, become the manager, get other sub manager, and then I still provide training. That's the difference between safe and scrum. Right. So safe help you to implement at an enterprise level, larger solution. While Scrum is mainly used when we can easily manage stuff. Now, when Scrum also have what we call Scrum as K, that is kind of similar to Scale Agile, but then Safe purely focused on how you work on enterprise environment where you have multiple teams you need to collaborate with, where we need about five, six, seven, eight, nine different teams to build one solution. So I always say everyone is good to get safe. It's a recommendation for me for all my students. I train them. I always say, look, you need to get safe. It helps you see it better, even if you don't want to work in a safe environment. It helps you see a picture better. Take for instance a coach that is helping more than let's say 1,000 people versus a coach that you just help all you've done is help 20 people. There's a whole big difference on the dynamic, on the experience, and all of that. How can someone overcome nervousness? You're nervous because you don't know what to say. Your lack of confidence is because you have not learned everything that you need to learn, right? If you're continuously nervous and you feel like you know everything you're supposed to know already, then you need to focus on building your leadership aspect. Leadership is one of the stuff that a lot of people ignore in this journey, but it's one of the biggest stuff. Mindset training, leadership, it's very important. In your mentorship journey, have you come across situation where a company hires a scrum master with no experience, just his certification? In most of the cases, no. In some of the cases, you will have a consulting company that will hire you and train you. Right. No company want to risk. Now, as as a scrum master, you support a software company. It's a whole lot of money for the company to sustain that team. They don't want you to come do try and error. Trust me, they don't want you to come do try and error there. They want someone who knows exactly what they're doing. Because doing try and error, you're stealing money. Now, a recruiting company or consulting company can hire people with no experience. Why? Because they know they would train you. You realize even when the company know that you have experience, they still put you under mentorship. Just imagine if you have no experience and they want to start entrusting stuff in your hand. So I definitely have not seen that, and I would not recommend that. Now, if you have no experience, your best shot is to what? Go for training. They not okay. How what's the criteria? Just let me just help you with this before I wrap up, because I think we've answered almost all our questions. What is the criteria to understand or to know exactly where you need help? Right. There's so many people out there that are Scrum teachers or are Scrum trainers. There's so many community out there that provide certification and simulation, but that is not the kind of support you need to stay competitive, talk competitive in this very time. Maybe 2, 3 years back, there was no so much competition in Scrum. You could easily do anything and just take that step in there. But in a time like this, where by the time you look at job application, you're seeing 1,200 applicants. Now you need to know something that many other people don't know in order to separate yourself. And what is that something? First, you realize that there is something many people ignore when they are in their career journey. First, becoming what they want, right? Becoming what they want. You realize someone can come to an inbox like, oh, I was looking for someone with the skills, and then I think you will be a good fit. Now, it's not just because you're lucky, it's because when you become what you're looking for, you build also a voice, a silent voice that speaks for you, right? This is also another aspect of coaching. If you've seen the video The Secret, or if you look at they call them the law of what, attracting what you want. Many people who are on the top of their success, who understand what success is, they understand that success is less about getting certification. Success is more about the environment you create, right? And the environment you create is a result of you becoming what you want to do. So many of us are looking for scrum job, but we have not become scrum master in knowing what we need to do. We are hoping that if a company helps us, then we'll find our way around, and then we'll know exactly. So on very limited chances, you will succeed through that way. But sincerely speaking, most of what you need to do is to stop chasing only question and answer on YouTube. Stop chasing resume writer. Sit down and learn what you need to do. When you learn what you need to do, that's the strength you need to sustain. If not, if you keep doing what you're doing and it's not working, you give up very soon. Why? Because the result you create is also the voice that speaks to you. So for those who I did say we have a really well structured community that support you. And many people will say, oh, how long are you going to promise me I'm going to get a job? That question is for you to answer. It's not for me, right? If you need 6 months to learn and to master stuff, I can tell you, okay, 2 months you're ready. Why? Because you're not yet ready. So the biggest point is for you, the biggest point is for you to be able to constantly evaluate the gap that you need to fill and fill that gap. Some people get a job within 2 weeks, some within 1 month, some within a year or so. But you need to master what it takes to be able to stay focused or constantly evaluate the gap. All right. So, and Nikki said, what could be the issue if I'm getting Scrum interview, but unfortunately not getting the job? You've not mastered the act of getting the job, right? I do say that interviews is beyond you just talking. You need to know what other people don't know. If you were interviewed and you were not selected, okay. In some cases, yeah, you have other candidates that were more preferred. Sometimes more preferred candidates are not more experienced, right? It's just like I like working with this kind of person than this person. That also happen. But if this is a repetitive stuff, it means that there's something that you don't know. Stop and then get coaching, and then when you get coaching you'll be able to figure out what is missing in uh uh what is missing in the process. What do you think about starting a business analyst, project coordinator, or technical writer to get experience before becoming a scrum master? Now, business analysis, project coordinator, technical writer, they give you the leadership they need, but they don't give you the scrum experience, right? I've had people with background in project coordinator. Okay, you as a project coordinator, you can easily master scrum. Right, but that doesn't mean that that's the route. As a business analyst, it's a whole different game on its own. That doesn't mean that that's the route. If you have such background, integrating into Scrum become easier for you. But then it's a whole different route. If you're really interested in getting the Scrum, my advice is get yourself into a community, get yourself a coach, do what it takes to get the experience you need. All right, I think my time is up for today, and thank you very much for joining. And do click the share button if the information here was useful and you feel like there is someone that need to know what to do. Now, for people who want to reach out to me, what you want to do is you can send me a text. Please don't call, send me a text. Send me a text. I was on your LinkedIn and I want to get on your LinkedIn live and I want to get more information about how to join your community. I want to get more information about how to train myself to become the Scrum Master that I want to be. And I'll definitely provide you with information on how to get that right. And yeah, we have a track record of helping people that want to go through the journey to walk the ladder, right? If you're coming into like, oh, you want to promise me to get a job in 2 weeks, in 1 month, don't come. We want people who want to sincerely learn, evaluate themselves, and then uh, know exactly what they need to do to close the gap. Those are the kind of people that we are looking for, and we're gonna help them to be able to do that. Someone has with implementing Scrum in our daily uh implementing Scrum in your daily life would definitely not count as can count as experience if you can back that up, right? But Scrum is not a daily lifestyle. Like let's be a bit serious. Scrum is not a daily lifestyle. Yeah, I would say that when you start learning Scrum, you realize that you can relate a whole lot of stuff in life, but that on itself is not Scrum. Scrum it's a prestigious, it's one of the most prestigious career you can get in now. For people that are still wondering and they're still thinking that maybe I'm still figuring out what to do, in less than 2 years, 2 years is still even a lot. You will need a Ray Agile management degree to even get a Scrum job. University are already implementing that. So for those who are in now, it's just about the certification and you go through the process. You better get serious. If not, you're definitely gonna pay the price very costly in a couple of months to come. All right, everybody, do have a great rest of your week. If you need support, you know how to get to me. Send me a text, and I will be able to reach out to you. If you send a text and you don't get me right away, please just be patient. Definitely will be jumping into another meeting after this, and the rest of the day, just be patient. I'll get back to you. All right. Thank you very much. And I'll see you um, on Friday. Friday, I'll be back live again the same time and we'll learn something new.